I was elected as a democratic socialist, and I will govern as a democratic socialist. I will not abandon my principles for fear of being deemed radical.
So I said, like, Zohran's like the hangover of wokeism. Nancy is the hangover of TDS. She reminds me of the, like, I don't know, this might be too elitist, but if you belong at a co-op meeting or a condo meeting, she's one of the elderly tenants who comes in and just complains that the kids are making all this noise. She's at her wit's end. But this is what an addiction to one idea gets you. I mean,
ever wonder what happens when a city spirals into complete political chaos, but in slow motion? Well, New York has been living it. Front row seats to the disaster, starring none other than Zohran Mamdani. And just when you think this mess couldn't possibly get worse, Greg Gutfeld storms in with explosive energy to expose exactly what's happening. It's like watching someone attempt to extinguish a raging forest fire with nothing but a garden hose. Awkward, confusing, and honestly, a little hilarious if you're watching from somewhere safe.
2009, Zohran Mamdani, or whatever, the Socialist Democrat nominee for New York City's mayor, identified as Black or African American when he applied to Columbia University. I guess there was no box for trust fund communist douchebag. But it didn't work. He didn't get in. He probably shouldn't have included a referral letter from this lady.
If you're enjoying this, please subscribe to the channel. It helps way more than you realize. So here's the deal with Mamdani. He arrived making promises as tall as the skyscrapers he's supposed to protect. Affordable housing? Check. Safer streets? Check. Fixing the subway? Maybe in some alternate dimension. And now, Gutfeld is slicing through that polished image like a chainsaw ripping through paper, pointing out the massive gap between those grand promises and actual results. And honestly, that gap is huge.
Democratic Socialist Zohran Mamdani has been elected the mayor of New York City. You know, I never thought I'd be reminiscing about the good old days when Son of Sam was my dog walker. I haven't seen this many depressed New Yorkers since it got too chilly for me to wear bike shorts.
You see, Gutfeld isn't exactly known for holding back. Subtlety is for people who still think politics stays civilized. He goes straight for the throat, calling out what he sees as the absurd mess of a city hemorrhaging money, confidence, and even midtown taxis, all at the same time. It's like watching someone juggle flaming swords while blindfolded, except the swords are potholes and skyrocketing crime rates, and the blindfold, pure political denial.
Zohran says he doesn't consider himself black at all. I guess it was that Justin Trudeau kind of black, where you just wipe it off at the end of the day. But it raises the often ignored question: how can you claim to be oppressed when you know the claim gets preferential treatment? I mean, why would anyone voluntarily choose an identity that supposedly holds you back unless you knew it could actually move you forward? So he saw the grift, using a false disadvantage to actually get ahead.
Now, Mamdani walks around discussing reform like it's some trendy artisanal coffee blend. But while he's sipping his rhetorical cappuccino, the streets are drowning in stories of chaos that no amount of latte foam can cover up. Crime is surging, buildings are crumbling, both metaphorically and sometimes literally. And the subway schedule? It looks more like abstract art than anything resembling reliable public transportation.
Victory mean? Is it an omen of a woke future or a ghost of a woke past? True, he really is the hangover from a decade of heinous ideas where repeat criminals are the victims, men can be women, and brain damage is considered a plus. But in this election, the votes cast were over 90% Democrat. That's one-party rule, a monopoly, which means it was a choice between bad and worse because there is no counterpoint to balance against extremism.
This is exactly where Gutfeld dominates. He's not just highlighting problems, he's calling out what he sees as a complete performance of incompetence. And every joke, it lands like the punchline of a sitcom nobody signed up to watch. And let's be real, New Yorkers are exhausted. They've heard these promises of change from politicians everywhere, from Times Square all the way to Staten Island. Yet somehow the results keep crashing and burning. That's where Gutfeld enters with the precision of a surgeon. Except his tools are more like a chainsaw, a megaphone, and that trademark sarcastic eyebrow raise that somehow pierces through your screen. He dismantles Mamdani's record like a classroom science experiment gone wrong, exposing problems that keep multiplying. From citywide frustrations to the never-ending battle with rats that seem to be winning, and Mamdani still insists everything's under control. Gutfeld's reaction is pure, unfiltered disbelief, the kind that makes you lean closer, wondering if reality is finally about to strike back.
Incoming mayor for New York City, Zohran Mamdani, has introduced his all-female transition team. At least we think they're female. True, since Zohran won, there have already been a few minor changes to the city. For example, the naked cowboy has already been replaced by the naked goat. And now every play on Broadway is a...
And the humor hits hard because it's not abstract, it's real life. It's impossible to argue when someone's pointing directly at City Hall, listing failed plans, and asking, how does a place famous for Broadway, bagels, and streaming giants also struggle with this level of dysfunction? Gutfeld isn't making this up. He's simply telling it his own sarcastic way, transforming what could be boring criticism into pure entertainment. Take the housing crisis. Mamdani promised affordable housing, but the results feel more hopeful than real. Buildings go up, but complaints rise with them. People live surrounded by constant construction, developers rake in profits, and rents keep skyrocketing like Olympic gymnasts. Subways stop without warning, buses play hide and seek, and the streets feel like a masterclass in chaos theory. Mamdani keeps reassuring everyone that everything's under control, while Gutfeld uses sharp humor to spotlight the glaring contradictions. Because if a city's infrastructure is collapsing and nobody talks about it, does it make a sound in this case? Yes, and Gutfeld is laughing at the echo.
If the party feels differently about that, as Jessica says, then they really gotta talk louder about it, because that's the problem. You guys didn't speak up. You know, you grew this monster because you were too scared to discipline it as it expanded into every facet of our lives. Imagine if you had nipped wokeism in the bud rather than waiting for us to slay it with Trump. The Democratic Party are like parents of a criminal teen who raised him without any discipline or common sense, and then you released him into the wild, i.e. our world, and now we have to deal with it, and now you're going like, yeah, I predict that when he gets the nomination,
Meanwhile, public perception is a total disaster. Mamdani supporters tried defending him with weak lines like, we need to be patient, change takes time, which sounds nice, until you realize the city isn't just waiting, it's actively falling apart. And Gutfeld makes sure everyone sees it. The delays, the mismanagement, the unintended consequences. He doesn't sugarcoat it, doesn't wink. He slams reality onto the table with a mix of disbelief and amusement, turning pure frustration into comedy gold. And here's the best part. Gutfeld isn't just criticizing, he's exposing contradictions. Mamdani talks about equity and opportunity while his policies quietly favor developers, and bureaucracy grows like a bad joke with no punchline. Gutfeld cuts through the rhetoric with surgical precision. New York is a melting pot, a city where chaos can become art. But under Mamdani, some of that art is starting to look like abstract despair. Graffiti in subways, rats in restaurants, potholes that could swallow small cars. Gutfeld doesn't just point it out, he amplifies it, giving viewers a front row play-by-play of urban collapse wrapped in sarcasm so sharp you could slice a bagel with it.
Ed, he was lying to get what he wanted. Like when I used to tell women that I love them. He wasn't confused, he was calculating. Mamdani knew that applying while black could be a ticket past the velvet rope of Ivy League admissions. And that was in 2009. Since then, identity politics has exploded into a full-blown access pass for corporations, schools, girls' locker rooms.
The brilliance of this show, Gutfeld keeps the momentum relentless. It's not just one sharp jab, it's a non-stop assault. Every policy failure, every misstep, every overhyped promise stacks up like a house of cards destined to collapse. And just when you think it can't get more ridiculous, he raises the stakes, connecting the dots so clearly that you can't help but see the full picture. A city in chaos and a politician caught in the whirlwind of his own ambition. And the humor isn't just about numbers or policies. Gutfeld's observations are sharp, biting, and perfectly timed. He points out the little ironies. A councilman hosting a safety summit while crime surges, a mayoral promise vanishing faster than morning fog, or a politician unknowingly exposing his own schemes. And the audience, they can't stop laughing.
But it seems Zohran was handpicked. By who? Who knows? We know it wasn't for his resume. He didn't have one. He's a hard-left socialist with no managerial background, a disdain for capitalism and Jews. He's no different than a trust fund protester, except with a PR team and Soros's credit card. He's not even qualified to be my pool boy. Definitely not strong enough to lift me.
As this all unfolds, the stakes feel ridiculously high. This isn't just some local squabble. It's a glimpse into how city governance really works, amplified for entertainment. Gutfeld lets viewers watch incompetence meet wit, chaos meet clarity, and optimism collide with reality. And somehow the laughter isn't just funny, it's revealing. When a city teeters on the edge, understanding the failures can be just as crucial as enjoying the humor. The patterns are clear. Housing programs stumble, public safety promises fade, infrastructure projects stall. Each failure adds to a bigger story of mismanagement that Gutfeld dissects with pinpoint accuracy. It's almost poetic, a commentator using razor-sharp humor to unpack policy, showing that the funniest moments are often the most tragic, because real people live, work, and pay taxes there. Yet from a distance, there's strange satisfaction in watching a master of satire dismantle what looks like a house of cards built on good intentions, but terrible execution.
Shocked in the green room that you asked, do you think that Zohran will be searched or frisked before entering the White House? And I thought that's a provocative question, but you raised a good point.
What we were actually talking about in the green room is how much easier it is to change the diaper of a baby girl than a baby. That is legitimately what the talk was.
That's what we were talking about.
So Mamdani has grown up real fast in the first few.
That's the heart of this story. The clash between ambition and reality, idealism and incompetence, promises and consequences. Gutfeld isn't just commenting. He's holding up a mirror to the city and its leaders, reflecting a truth that's impossible to ignore. Sometimes enthusiasm isn't enough, and even the best intentions can lead to spectacular failure. But when you present that with sharp wit, perfect timing, and just enough exaggeration to make it sparkle, it becomes content you can't look away from. The tension builds with every moment, and you don't have to be a New Yorker to see the irony. Each critique, each sarcastic jab, every clever observation pulls viewers deeper into the story, making them almost part of the unfolding chaos. It's like a slow-motion car crash told as a compelling story, blending outrage and comedy in a way that keeps everyone glued. Every segment builds on the last, every point carries weight, and every punchline lands perfectly, creating a narrative that's as captivating as it is hilarious.
And what's his connection to the city? Ask him what he loves most about New York, he'll probably say diversity. The fact that you can dine in Chinatown or Little Italy, then get mugged in 80 different languages. But diversity is not what made New York great. It's one result of the system that enabled it. Capitalism, trade, industry, which attracts people like my natural musk on a hot subway. But for leftists like Zohran, they only see the goals, not the systems. If he had been Christian who celebrated Christmas, he might never ever connect that those gifts under the tree were there because of his parents' hard work. Nope, to him, the free stuff just appears. In this case, Santa is socialism and the taxpayers are the elves.
And the beauty of it all, it keeps building. Gutfeld doesn't let the audience rest. Every failure, every contradiction, every broken promise becomes material, woven together into a tapestry of chaos, incompetence, and razor-sharp humor. You can't look away because the next revelation is always waiting, ready to hit harder than the last. By the end, it's more than commentary. It's a spectacle. A mix of critique and comedy that makes you laugh, cringe, and wonder how a city this massive even keeps functioning, and somehow it does. While Gutfeld turns the unraveling into pure entertainment, that's the genius. It's not just criticism, it's storytelling layered with wit. You watch good intentions collide with poor execution, all framed by razor-sharp commentary. By the final act, the picture is crystal clear. A city teetering, a politician ambitious but flawed, and a commentator so precise and funny that every failure becomes a punchline, every contradiction a highlight, and every misstep a lesson in what not to do. And through it all, the audience stays hooked, entertained, and a little wiser about the messy, chaotic, and hilarious reality of urban politics. That's the story of Greg Gutfeld and Zohran Mamdani, a saga of promises, pitfalls, and punchlines delivered with timing, wit, and relentless honesty. Just when you think it's over, Gutfeld reminds you the spectacle isn't finished, and the chaos, it's only getting started.